The biggest storyline for USC football going into this season is their defense. We know that this defense last year was unwatchable under former defensive coordinator Alex Grinch, and it was the main reason why 2023 was a massive failure for Lincoln Riley. So what did Lincoln Riley do to address the looming problems that he's had on defense? Well, he's fired Alex Grinch, and you replace him with D'Anton Lynn, along with a retooled defensive coaching staff. D'Anton Lynn is going to be the big reason why you see a different defense this year that's massively improved compared to what you saw last year. And one season at UCLA, D'Anton Lynn took the Bruins from being one of the worst defenses in college football to a top 15 unit in the span of 1 year. They were 15th in points per game allowed. They were second against the run, and they were really good against the pass. And they also were outstanding at forcing takeaways, and they played great situational football. They could get off the field on third downs, and they could stop you from scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Just with you hiring D'Anton Lynn, your defense is already improved because you're going to have a head coach that, if he was able to succeed at UCLA with way less talent than what he's going to have at USC, imagine how good this defense is going to be with him having more talent to work with. There are things from a coaching standpoint that are going to be fixed with D'Anton Lynn calling the plays, because you're going to have guys that are going to be in better position. You're going to have better communication in the secondary, so you're not going to see as many blown coverages as what you've seen last year under Alex Grinch. With this being a better coached team, they're going to have less errors due to just being out of position. They're going to be more disciplined. You're going to be bigger, faster, and stronger on the defensive line. What killed USC last year was mostly due to how small they were on the line of scrimmage on the defensive line. You could run the football at will on them, and they couldn't do anything about it because they didn't have a lot of big bodies. Well, the Trojans put a lot of emphasis this offseason on not only getting stronger, but getting bigger. Their defensive line has gained a combined total of over 340 pounds throughout the offseason. D'Anton Lynn has an NFL background. His father, Anthony Lynn, was a former head coach for the LA Chargers. This dude is going to run an NFL-style defense, and he knows how to build a physical, tough defense and the perfect defense that you need to be able to have success in the Big Ten. And with this being a bigger, more physical defensive line, it's going to be way harder to run against this front in 2024 as compared to 2023. Now, the strength of this team is going to be in the secondary. You got a few guys from UCLA like Kamari Ramsey and John Humphrey who followed D'Anton Lynn from UCLA to USC. And you also got a guy in Greedy Vance from Florida State who has a lot of upside to become one of the better corners in the Big Ten. Your defensive line, although you are lacking talent in certain areas on that front, you still do have Bear Alexander, one of the better interior defensive linemen in college football. Jabeel Muhammad, he was playing at a pretty high level for the first half of last year, and then he just fell off in the second half of last season. You got Nate Clifton, who was a transfer from Vanderbilt. He had 5.5 sacks last year. Cameron Fountain could be a true freshman who could have a big impact on this team right away. He was a 4-star from the 2024 recruiting cycle, and he was one of the better defensive linemen from that recruiting class. And if you end up getting good play out of him, you should have more than enough to have a top 50 defense. USC doesn't need to have elite defense to win in the Big Ten. All they need is for their defense to be above average, and that's good enough for them to win 9-10 games because the Big Ten doesn't know shit about offense. Iowa went to the Big Ten championship last year, and their defensive special team scored more points than what their offense did. Penn State doesn't have the talent at receiver that USC does. The Big Ten may be a great conference when it comes to dominant rushing attacks, physical play, and good defense, but they don't know anything about what it means to have an explosive offense. Outside of Ohio State, no other team in the Big Ten last couple of years has had the kind of offense that they're about to see out of USC and Lincoln Riley this season. This is going to be a massively improved defense this year due to the impact of hiring D'Anton Lynn and with the revamped coaching staff that they have. So you guys keep overlooking the changes that Lincoln Riley has made to this defense, and the Trojans are about to shock a lot of you guys this year because of how massively improved they're going to be on the defensive side of the football. And when this defense ends up improving, you can definitely expect D'Anton Lynn to be in the running for being a finalist for the Jim Boyles Award, which goes to college football's top assistant coach. He should be in that conversation. If you can transform UCLA from being one of the worst defenses in college football to a top 15 unit in a span of 1 year, you can do that anywhere, to me, because that shows that your coaches respond well, your players respond well to your coaching. You know how to put guys in positions to succeed. I will be really surprised if we see USC's defensive struggles carry on into this year. This should be a vastly improved unit as compared to what we've seen under Lincoln Riley teams in the past, because he's had the same defensive coordinator every year he's been a head coach. This is the first year ever that he won't have Alex Grinch calling his defense. The problem wasn't Lincoln Riley doesn't know defense. The problem was he refused to get rid of the biggest cancer to his success, which was Alex Grinch. So I expect USC to have a really good defense this year that's going to be vastly improved to what we've seen last year and the year prior.